Before we start this episode, I want to make sure you know about the live Better Husband community call happening at the end of the month. I'll be doing some teaching live, just like I do on this podcast, sharing more about my own personal journey to becoming a better husband, explain what the Better Husband community is all about and my vision for its growth, and answer questions live from you. Go to joinbetterhusband.com right now to save your seat. That's joinbetterhusband.com, or just click the link at the bottom of the show notes. And I'll see you on the call. Almost every man I work with, and honestly, most men who listen to this podcast, are carrying a full life. The calendar is full, the to-do list is full, your head is full. Work, home, kids, money, the things that have to get done, and the things that you really don't want to forget. Half the time, you're already trying to keep a bunch of open loops from falling on the floor. And then your wife starts sharing what's on her mind. Maybe it's something around the house. Maybe it's summer plans. Maybe it's something she wants to do with the family. Maybe it's a date she wants the two of you to plan. Maybe it's a conversation she wants to have that feels emotionally important. And none of that is bad. She's not coming at you. She's not trying to bury you. A lot of times she's excited. She's thinking out loud. She's inviting you into the life the two of you are building together. You want to be in that. You want to help. You want to be the kind of man who can carry his part well. But somewhere in the middle of that conversation, a tipping point happens, and it's an important moment. It's the moment where you just stop listening and you start sorting. Okay, remember that. Don't miss that. That one sounds important. That one has a deadline. If I say yes to this, how am I going to handle all of it? Your wife is still talking, and you're already building shelves in your head for everything she just handed you. And underneath that is a fear a lot of men know well. What if I say yes to all of this and then I miss the one thing that mattered most to her? What if 3 weeks from now, we're not even talking about this conversation anymore? We're talking about the one thing I forgot, the way she felt on the other side of it, and the way I got defensive because I really was trying. Because for a lot of men, the problem isn't bad intentions. The problem is silent overload. And what you don't say while it's small, you end up dealing with later when it becomes a much bigger issue. By the end of this episode, you're going to know how to catch that moment sooner, how to name what's happening in you before it turns into an edge, and how to make one clear request that helps the two of you work as a team instead of turning on each other later. And if you're listening to this with your wife, or you ever thought about listening to a Better Husband episode together, this is one of those episodes that can really help both of you. Because the skill isn't only how to ask, it's also how to receive the ask when the person you love is trying to be honest before the room gets tense. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Welcome to Better Husband, the podcast that helps you answer the question, how can I be a better husband? I'm Angelo Santiago, a men's marriage and relationship coach, and every week I bring you practical insights to help you strengthen your marriage and become the best husband you can be. Now, here's what happened with me and my wife the other night. It felt like a small moment, but it had a huge impact, and it was so new to both of us that I knew I had to share it on the podcast. It was evening, we were at home, winding down, and she started talking through a whole mix of life with me. Summer plans, things around the house, stuff involving our son, dates, future ideas, at one point even renewing our vows. And I loved the conversation we were having. I wasn't sitting there annoyed that she was sharing. I was glad she was sharing. I love it when my wife's excited. I love hearing what she's thinking about. I love building a life with her. And one of the ways love naturally comes out in me is through doing. If she brings me something and I can help carry it, build it, plan it, or follow through on it, that feels meaningful to me. It doesn't just feel like a task. It feels like love. So while she was talking, part of me was right there with her, and part of me had already started tightening up. I could feel it first in my chest, then I could feel my mind start spinning. I started mentally sorting everything she was saying. This one needs follow through, that one has a deadline, that one's emotionally loaded, or if I miss that one, it's going to be rough. And I could feel myself drifting out of the conversation even while I was still physically in it. That's a familiar place for me. My wife's talking, and I'm half listening and half building a private management system in my head. And as that kept happening, I could feel the next part too. If I quietly take all of this on, I'm probably going to lose track of something. And if I lose track of the wrong thing, this isn't going to be a simple miss. It's going to turn into hurt in her, defensiveness in me, and friction neither of us wants. I could see the whole movie starting before any of it happened. That was the real turn in the moment. Not just that there were a lot of things being talked about, it was that I could already feel the future cost of staying silent. And if I'm being honest, my first instinct was still the old one. I'll make a better list. I'll set reminders. I'll build a cleaner system. I'll carry it. Because that move feels strong to me. It feels responsible. It feels like what a dependable husband should do. Don't make your stress somebody else's problem. Figure it out and handle it. But I could also feel where that move usually takes me. If I say yes in the moment because I want to love her well, then I overcommit. Then I miss one thing. Then the whole moment gets interpreted through the miss. Did I care? Was I listening? Can she trust me to follow through on what's important to her? Why did I say yes if I couldn't really carry it? So instead of going quiet and trying to solve it alone, I interrupted the old pattern. I told her something like, hold on a second. I love everything you're sharing, but I can also feel the pile building up in my head, and I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed. I don't want to say yes to all of this and then miss something important later. Can you help me sort what are the most important things to you? And that changed the conversation. She responded well. She clarified what really needed follow through. She helped separate what was time sensitive from what was just an idea. She even offered to take a few things off my plate. She realized she was asking a lot of me, and then the conversation became, how can we do this together? And part of what hit me right there was that she didn't need me to privately own every single thing she brought up. She wanted me to be a part of doing these things together with her. She was basically telling me, these two things need real action. This one needs to get decided this week. This one's important, but we don't have to solve it tonight. And these other things I'm sharing because I just want us to talk about it and dream together. And that helped me so much more than I expected, because before I spoke up, everything she said was starting to feel heavy in my head. Once I told the truth, the whole conversation became clear and organized. I really understood her. I could feel the difference between a dream, a priority, a date we needed to protect, and a logistical detail that had an actual deadline on it. Some of what she was sharing were true priorities. Some of it was excitement. Some of it was future dreaming. Some of it was meaningful but not urgent. And once we slowed it down together, I could feel the pressure in me change. The list didn't disappear, life didn't suddenly get simple, but I wasn't alone in my head anymore trying to privately hold a life that belonged to both of us. We had some structure, we had some priorities, we had shared ownership. That conversation took maybe 5 minutes, and it probably saved us weeks of unnecessary friction. Nothing wild changed me about in those 5 minutes. I just told the truth sooner. One of the private rules a lot of husbands live by is this. If you're a good man, you should be able to carry it all quietly. You keep up, you handle it, you don't need help, you don't let the pressure show, don't say anything until you already know you're going to solve it. A lot of men mistake that for maturity. They mistake it for leadership, they mistake it for love. But most of the time, it's covering up a real fear. Fear of looking incapable, fear of disappointing her, fear of admitting I can't hold all of this well by myself. And when completing tasks is one of the main ways you naturally express love, that fear hits even harder, because then dropping the ball doesn't just feel inconvenient, it feels personal. It feels like I was trying to love you well and I still messed up. That's why so many husbands say yes to too much. They're trying to prove love by taking on more and more pressure and showing that they can handle it. But here's the problem. Your wife can't see what's going on inside you. She can't feel the pressure you feel. She only sees what you do. She experiences that you said yes and then forgot. She experiences that you got defensive. She experiences that you went distant. She experiences that things got tense and she doesn't fully know why. So the marriage ends up paying for a standard she never asked you to keep. And from her side, that experience can be really confusing. She thought the two of you were aligned. She thought you heard her. She thought the conversation went well. Then later something slips and you act like her disappointment came out of nowhere. Now she's not only dealing with the thing you missed, she's trying to figure out what it meant. Did she ask too much? Did she do something wrong? Were you already overwhelmed and didn't tell her? Or is this another moment in a longer pattern of you saying you do something and then not following through? And if her mind goes to that last one, the damage gets bigger fast. Because now she's not just heard about the one thing, she's starting to build a story that she can't count on you, that you're not as committed to this marriage as she thought you were. That's why so many fights aren't really about the dropped ball itself. They're about what the dropped ball meant. And once a husband starts carrying too much privately, another thing often happens. He starts keeping private accounts in his own head. I did this. I handled that. I took care of these 5 things. Why are we now talking about the one thing I missed? That's one reason silent overload is so destructive. It doesn't stay silent. It turns into tension, into scorekeeping, defensiveness, and distance. From her side, it can feel like, can I count on you? And from his side, it can feel like, nothing I do is enough. And now both people are reacting to something much bigger than the original task. Carrying everything alone is not the gold standard of love. A strong marriage is not built by one person silently drowning while trying to look dependable. If you have to hide your limits in order to feel like a good husband, you're on the wrong track, and it's taking you and your marriage in the wrong direction. A client once shared with me a line that came from his engineering background. He said this, "If it's predictable, it's preventable." That statement stayed with me because in marriage, a surprising amount of pain gives you a warning before it lands. You can feel your body giving you warnings. You can hear when your mind stops listening and starts managing. You can notice when you're no longer in the conversation, you're already in the follow-through, already in the calendar, already in the future argument where you're explaining why you missed something. Sometimes the warning shows up while your wife is still talking. You realize that you've stopped being curious and you're no longer asking, what's she wanting from me here? Now you're asking, how am I going to survive all of this? And one of the clearest signs that you're in that shift is that your wife's excitement starts feeling like pressure before you've even clarified what she's asking for. She's sharing and you hear demand. She's dreaming and you hear obligation. She's opening up and you hear one more thing you're now responsible for taking care of. When that translation starts happening, slow down. That doesn't automatically mean she's asking for too much. It may just mean that your internal load is already high and now everything's getting filtered through pressure. Awareness isn't only noticing what you feel in the moment. Awareness is noticing what this moment is likely to become if you say nothing. It means you're not just buried in the pile, but you're stepping back enough to see what the pile is doing to you. For some men, the warning is physical. It's in your jaw, it's in your breath, it's in the tension you feel in your body. For some men, the warning sign is mental. You stop hearing what she's actually saying and you start hearing assignments. Now every sentence becomes something to track, solve, remember, or defend against later. For some men, the warning sign is relational. Your comments have an intensity to them. You start half agreeing and holding on to some resentment. You start saying yes before you have any idea what that yes is going to cost. That's the moment to slow down. Not after the miss, not after the fight, right there. Because later, your options get small. Now you're trying to explain yourself. Now you're apologizing. Earlier, you still have room to do something different. You can say, hold on. I can feel myself getting overloaded. Let me slow this down. And this applies to wives too. Different list, same human reality. Modern marriage asks a lot from both people. Both people can get overloaded. Both people can start carrying pressure privately. Both people can wait too long to say what's happening. So the question isn't only, what do I need to get done? The better question is, where is this headed if I don't say something? That question can save a marriage a lot of unnecessary pain. I'm hosting a free live Better Husband community call, and I want you there. It's on Wednesday, April 22nd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Zoom, and you can register at joinbetterhusband.com. We're going to be focusing on nervous system regulation and emotional awareness, and here's the best part. We're going to do a live Q&A, so if you've ever had a question you wanted to ask me directly about a conversation you're stuck in, a pattern you keep repeating, or how to stay grounded and aware when emotions start taking over, this is the place. Go to joinbetterhusband.com now to save your seat, or click the link at the bottom of your show notes. I'll see you on April 22nd. All right, back to the show. Once you can see the pattern forming, the next move is clear. Don't wait until pressure hardens into complaint. Turn it into a request while your heart is still open. Complaint and request do very different things in a marriage. Complaint looks backwards. It carries protest. It tells your wife what's already feeling wrong. Requests look forward. It tells her what would actually help right now. So let me make it simple. Complaint sounds like, this is too much. Why is all of this on me? You keep bringing me things when I'm already carrying a ton. But requests sounds like, I love how excited you are about this, and I want to do this well, and I can feel myself getting overloaded. Can you help me sort what needs attention first? Can we slow this down and decide what really needs action tonight? One makes her brace or retreat or fight back. The other gives her something to respond to. And this is where a lot of men and women struggle. They think, if I bring this up now, it'll sound like a complaint, so they don't. Then they get more overloaded. Then resentment starts mixing into the moment. Then when it finally comes out, it does sound like a complaint because it's been tainted with frustration, overwhelm, and a feeling that I messed up, but it's not my fault. That's why earlier is better. Earlier, you can still say what it's like without blaming. Earlier, you can still speak with some steadiness. Earlier, your wife hears, I want to stay connected here. I just need help with this. That's a very different conversation. And if you need a simple structure, use this. Start with what's happening in the moment. There's a lot getting added here. Then say what it's doing in you. I can feel the pile building in my head and I'm starting to lose my ability to hold it all. Then say what you don't want it to turn into. I don't want this to become me forgetting something important and getting short later or acting like I don't care when I do. And then you make the ask. Can you help me figure out what needs attention first? Can we write this down together? Can we separate what's urgent from what's just still in the idea stage? Can you take one part and let me take another? And notice what that move does. You're not dumping your pressure on her. You're not building a case. You're not making her guess what mood you're in. You're giving the relationship somewhere useful to go. You're also helping your wife stay out of defensiveness. When complaint hits the room, she usually has two jobs at once. She has to hear your pain and she has to protect herself from the accusation inside your tone. That's why complaint gets messy so fast. Even when there's something true underneath it, the form of it makes the whole conversation harder to receive. A request is different. A request says, I'm letting you see what I'm going through before I turn against you. I'm asking for help here. Let me give you some more examples of how this could work. If the conversation is about house projects, your request may be, can we pick the top one for this month and write the rest down to follow up on later? If the conversation is about family plans, your request may be, can we decide what really has to get booked this week and what can wait until next week? If the conversation is about your kids, it may sound like, I want to help with this, but I need to slow down and have you tell me what needs action first because I'm starting to lose the thread. And if the conversation is about something emotionally important, like a trip, a reset in your marriage, or renewing your vows, your request can be, I don't want to treat this casually just because my head is full right now. Can we set aside a time for this and not bury it under logistics? You see, a line like that does two very important things. It tells your wife, I see the value of what you're bringing, and it tells the truth that your capacity in this moment has a limit. And let me say something else here. You don't have to know the perfect request before you speak up. A lot of men wait because they think I can't bring this up until I already know the exact plan. But sometimes the first good request is simply slow me down. Help me sort this. Help me separate what needs action from what just needs a conversation. Because what usually hurts a marriage most isn't imperfect wording, it's hidden pressure. It's the other person feeling your shutdown, your edge, or your half-hearted yes without understanding what happened inside you. A simple request made early is worth a lot more than a polished explanation or apology after the damage. Because some things aren't urgent, but they're important. And if you're overloaded, one of the first things you're likely to do is to flatten everything into tasks. You lose the difference between a practical detail and something your wife is bringing to you from her heart. And that's where the better frame comes in. Your job isn't to silently absorb everything so you can prove you're dependable. Your job is to tell the truth soon enough that love can stay collaborative. That's the kind of move that keeps one hard moment from becoming 3 hard weeks. And yes, the first few times you do this, it may come out clunky. Good. Clunky honesty still beats polished resentment. Now to the wives listening. If you're listening to this with your husband, hear this part carefully. When a man who usually carries pressure privately tells you, I can feel the pile building and I need help sorting this out, that's not a refusal. That's not him making you the problem. That's him trying to tell the truth before the damage. And the way you receive that can either help him stay open or train him right back into silence. If you hear it as him asking you, why can't you just do all of this? Well, then he'll probably shut down. But if you hear it as, he's letting me know how he's feeling before this goes sideways, you give the marriage a real chance to work differently. And the same move belongs to you too. If you're the one carrying too much, you don't have to wait until it comes out as exhaustion or resentment. Strong marriages get stronger when both people can ask clearly and both people can respond generously. Let's close this out the way we do every episode. Here's your awareness question, your action steps, and your accountability for the week. For awareness, here's the question I want you to sit with this week. Where in your marriage are you taking on too much and quietly hoping you can carry it without saying anything? Now, here are your action steps, because more awareness without action doesn't get you anywhere. I want you to practice these 4 moves. First, notice the signal. When you feel yourself getting overloaded and still agreeing to take on more, pay attention. Notice your body, notice your breathing, notice the moment you stop hearing what your wife is saying and start adding it all to the long list of things you already have to do. Second, say it early. Use a simple line like, hold on, I want to do this with you and I can feel myself getting overloaded. Third, name the future cost. Say what you don't want this to turn into. Be vulnerable here. Own the times you've done this before and it's turned sideways. Tell her you don't want to repeat that pattern. And fourth, make one clear ask. Not a hint, not a protest, one real request your wife can respond to. And for accountability, if this episode is helping you see your patterns more clearly and you're ready to practice this with real support, that's exactly what we do inside Better Husband Academy. It's a community and online course for men who are serious about becoming better husbands with real coaching, real practice, and real accountability. I'm in there every day answering questions, celebrating wins, hosting live calls, and watching men doing real work with each other to transform their marriage. You can learn more at betterhusbandacademy.com or click the link in the show notes. Again, that's betterhusbandacademy.com. Here's what I want you to take away from this episode. You don't strengthen your marriage by trying to carry everything on your own and hiding the overwhelm until it comes out sideways. You strengthen your marriage by telling the truth early enough that the two of you can actually do life together. So she knows what's going on with you, so you're not pretending. So when you ask for help, you give her the chance to show up generously instead of cleaning up after a moment that already went bad. That's the marriage worth building. 2 people who tell each other the truth and figure things out together. Don't make the person you love pay for the pressure they can't see. I just want to say thanks for being here and doing this work with me. You're listening to Better Husband. I'm Angelo Santiago, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, I have a quick request. If you've ever gotten any value from the show and you want the show to continue to grow, to access bigger and more knowledgeable guests, and to keep providing you with more ways that you can be a better husband in your marriage, simply leave a rating and a review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. It only takes a few seconds, and those reviews go a long way in attracting more experts and bigger guests to the show. So if you're feeling up to it, as a favor to me, I'd love to see a rating and a review from you. Thank you so much for being a listener and all your support.